everyone, I'm Elemental. Today we'll be making a song from scratch. I had a comment on the last video suggesting F phrygian as a good starting point, and phrygian is a special type of scale that's just a minor scale with a lowered second. So, for example, in F it would be a regular F minor, but then with a lowered second right there. So I'm not really sure what they like about F for this specifically, but maybe we'll find out. I'm going to start by picking a pad. We'll start with the pad sound in track 1 here. And for our chords, there's a couple of interesting chords that you can do in phrygian right away. There's the minor 7, which is just down. That becomes minor instead of major. And there's also the major 2, but it's flat, like major flat 2. It's really sort of ethereal, I guess. And I'm probably going to use a really simple chord progression with just 2 chords, like alternating back and forth between those 2. Okay, so we've got our sequence recorded in, and I went ahead and just played, what is that? I guess that's an A flat immediately after, and then it just shifted the entire thing into D flat right there. And I noticed this when I was messing around earlier. I was just like trying to like remember what phrygian did. And I guess what phrygian does is it really wants to go to D flat major. So like that's why I only want 2 chords, because if I try and do anything more fancy than that, it's going to want to go to D flat major, and I don't know how to make it not do that. So we're just going to stick with those 2. I also added, that's a little sus4 on the top, and the whole thing's pretty loose on the time. I tried to like start and stop notes in a way where like the notes are changing at staggered intervals with each other, so that I can sort of like cut down on the polyphony that I'm using here. Alright, and for our next track I probably want to add a bass line, and thinking for this one, usually what I do is I will have like a mono legato bass line with lots of slides, and that's probably what I'm going to do here as well. So for the next part, I think I'm going to do drums next, and we need to pick a kit. stay in the game kit, which was all recorded in like super lo-fi sounds with that don't take up like a lot of file space. This is one that I recorded in and made that I'm pretty sure I've used before. Alright, so I've got my drum part figured out. It's pretty simple right now. We can add to it later. I can never get the recording right just on its own the first time. I always have to like fix it after. So I've copied that pattern, so that little ding on the offbeats is going for the entire thing. I actually think, okay, I've got two parts here. One is playing on the downbeat and one is playing on the offbeat, and the one playing on the offbeat sounds way more prominent, but I actually think I can do it both on one. It just takes a lot of, it's going to take a lot of fiddling, so I'll be right back. Alright, so we've got this jaunty little chiptune flip-flop between the two sound generator tracks. I've got one on a pulse and one on a square, and for a second I thought I could use the sound lock or whatever to put like these notes on the other pattern and free up this whole track, but I can't, or at least not in a way that I like how it sounds, so might be a little extra, I'm not sure. Alright, we've got a fresh new instrument. This is the first time I've used this in one of these videos, and I figured, because right now we got 3 tracks going on that are all interesting because of this sweep being at a very fast speed. This one too. And that's all 3 of them. There's actually only 2. And the vocal beats is also really good for that. So there's a lot of like fun things that I really like to do on here that are more like interesting than they are necessarily useful on a drum machine, but I think for something like this it's going to be really good. this one is really good for this. You get like multiple different pitches that seem to sort of fit onto like either maybe a minor pentatonic scale, or maybe that's just like a specific part of the like harmonic series, but and what's interesting about this is it's really finicky. Like, this isn't quite in tune. It's like kind of there. And if I change the beats per minute, that will change how fast the stutter time is playing. And so it changes the pitch. That's definitely fun. Yeah, that sounds really in tune. So all of there are 4 different like PCM sounds that are loaded on here, and all of them have like a really different character when the stutter time is very high in the like audio frequency range. This is with the PCM speed very high, so it's playing the sample very fast. I love this thing so much. It's super not useful, and it's like I don't know, it was the first synth I bought, and if I like knew then what I knew now, I probably would have gotten something else because it's not really useful for my needs, but the fact that it can do stuff like this is just super fun, and it makes a really fun instrument. This one is the agogo sound, which is really quiet. The Techno Machine. Alright, so with what I currently have, I'm not sure what to do. I think it's going to be a slow build. It's going to be a slow build into all of this, and then it's going to like break into something, and then the song's going to end after that. So I don't really know where it wants to go. I don't know. It's very pensive. It's very like it's building to something for sure. And I might actually take a break and pick this up tomorrow. Or later tonight, probably later tonight, but we'll see. We'll see. Alright, one last little bit of a thing. Currently I've got... Okay, so I added another pattern that's basically just an intro to that other one. I don't know if I'm going to add another section after it or not, but the pads are the same. I moved some octaves. Bassline's the same. Added a little melody and just an arpeggio. And apart from that, it's just I've got 2 different patterns on here that I wanted to talk about. So we've got our basic hi-hat. We've got one pattern that plays on the offbeats. It's a very square pattern. And then one pattern that's more offbeat. 2, 3, 4. pretty full groove right there. And I think the plan is I'm going to write down what notes or like what steps those two different patterns are on, because both of them are grouped into two instruments and they're both groups of patterns are on the same steps. So I'm going to write that down and then just try and build that from scratch. And that I think will add hype to the video. So the trick to like a, I guess, performance trick like this, I'm going to first save it to a pattern slot. And then when I'm ready to do the recording, I'm going to delete every part except the hi-hats. And then that way I have the pattern saved and backed up if I need to look back at it to remember. And then once I feel like I have the hang of it, normally I keep this first pattern just on a like hi-hat pattern so that I can add other stuff as I go. And then I'll set it back to that and I'll just be able to add the other parts when I need to. Alright, it's a little bit later in the evening. I didn't really take any kind of break like I said I would, but we've started a new pattern. I wanted something that would be a bit of a continuation of what we had, that had more of a melody that feels more like the meat and potatoes of the song, because we have a little bit of a melody in the first pattern, and then we have this next, like, the section that I started off the video working on, and it just needs something more like I said it was gonna. So unfortunately that means I have to do it. So currently what we've got is, I'm just keeping it, there's no chord changes at all, it's just an F minor chord all the way through. Same instruments. This bass preset is so good. And then I don't really have anything from there. I think for drums I might just cut it back to a 4 on the floor, and then I have two voices that I can use to do some kind of melody, and then maybe have a little bit more going on with the drums later on. Alright, so just a couple last changes. We've got this one, I added the pad back in at the start, same as the last pad. And then on the second time, it just has a lot of rests, and then a little sting at the end. I've also got a melody here. So yeah, I think that's basically enough to go on. We're going to go from one section to another, just 3 in a row, and then it's done. Build the drums along the way, maybe do a little outro with just the drums, and that should be everything we need.
Hey y'all, this is Future Editing Elemental here. In just a second we're going to listen to the jam that I made yesterday. I just finished editing it, but before we get to that I had a few things I wanted to talk about. This is the third video I've made in this style where it's long and I'm talking over it. I'm not feeling super confident about these videos. I'm not super thrilled with how I'm making them. There's so many things every video that I feel like I wanted to talk about and I don't get to talk about because I just forgot. But the biggest thing is that right now it's very scary. I live in the US and it's very scary, and I feel like maybe this isn't the right time for a trans woman to be starting a YouTube channel and making content like I do. And it's not, but there never was a right time, and it sucks, and it seems like every US YouTuber that I follow is posting videos where they're just addressing how scary it is to be here right now. And from my perspective, once I got over the panic of it, I it just sunk in that I don't have all the time in the world to sit around thinking of what I would do on my YouTube channel if I had one. So I'm going to keep making these videos. I'm going to keep uploading videos that don't have any commentary, they're just the music. And hopefully my channel will grow and I'll be able to be monetized and I'll be able to start making some money off of that, buy some gear that can record in stereo. So anyways, that's about all from me. If you've watched this far, thank you for watching my video. We're going to listen to the jam now.